On October 1st, 1960, 14-year-old Raymond Eugene Brown crept through the unlocked back door of his family's home in Ashland, Alabama. He wasn't there for a family visit. He was there to steal. This wasn't some random house he targeted. It was the home of his aunt, grandmother, and great-grandmother, women who loved him, trusted him, and welcomed him to their table. When his Aunt Berta May caught him in the act, she became his first victim. He stabbed her 123 times and she was gone. But Raymond wasn't done. He moved through the house, methodically killing the other two women to silence any witnesses. Before we dive deeper into this grim story, please take a moment to like this video if it's shedding light for you, and hit subscribe for more true crime stories. Your support keeps us telling these stories that need to be heard. Raymond Eugene Brown was born on January 11, 1946, in Ashland, Alabama, one of 4 sons to Marvin and Emma Lou Brown. His childhood seemed pretty typical, nothing glaringly out of the ordinary. Family and friends later racked their brains trying to figure out how he turned into what he did. They remembered a happy kid, raised like most others in their small town. No red flags, no warning signs of the darkness that would come to define him. At Clay County High School, Raymond was the picture of a small-town success story. He played junior varsity football, excelled in sports, and was well-liked by his classmates. His teammates had no issues with him, and most folks described him as friendly, even popular. There was nothing to suggest trouble brewing. Looking back years later, those who knew him searched for clues they might have missed. But the truth was plain. There weren't any. Raymond gave no hint of what he'd become. On that autumn night of October 1st, 1960, 14-year-old Raymond made a choice that changed his life and shattered a family that cared for him. His reason? Shockingly simple. He wanted cash for football cleats. His target was the home of his relatives, 31-year-old Aunt Berta May Martin, 63-year-old grandmother Ethel Ogle, and 82-year-old disabled great-grandmother Evina Ogle. These women had welcomed him into their home countless times. Raymond slipped in through an unlocked back door, moving quietly as they slept. When Berta May woke to noises in the kitchen and caught him stealing, Raymond's reaction was beyond comprehension. Instead of bolting, the teenager grabbed a kitchen knife and attacked. What followed wasn't a spur-of-the-moment act, but a brutal, drawn-out assault. He stabbed Berta May 123 times, a number that speaks to uncontrollable rage. Yet the pattern suggested something colder, more deliberate. Having crossed that line, Raymond saw the other women as loose ends. He moved through the house to where his grandmother Ethel and disabled great-grandmother Evina slept. He stabbed both elderly women multiple times, ensuring they were dead. Then, in a chilling display of depravity, he slashed all 3 victims' throats from ear to ear. 3 generations of women who loved and trusted him were gone by his hand. The next morning, Raymond's mother, Emma Lou Brown, found the horrific scene. When police arrived, they saw bloody heel prints all over the house and evidence of violence so extreme that even seasoned officers struggled to take it in. The investigation zeroed in on Raymond after classmates mentioned he'd talked about visiting his aunt after soccer practice. 5 days later, police found him in the school gym and brought him in for questioning. Raymond didn't deny anything or claim self-defense. He confessed to the murders with a calm, matter-of-fact tone that unnerved everyone in the room. He described the events like someone recounting their morning routine. No breakdown, no tears, no sign he grasped the weight of what he'd done. His fingerprints matched those at the scene. The confession rocked Ashland and beyond, forcing the community to grapple with the idea that evil could hide without any obvious signs. The case became a sensation, drawing attention across Alabama. In the days after, souvenir hunters tried breaking into the crime scene house, and authorities reported over 600 cars from 18 Alabama counties and 9 states flocking to the small town. On October 10th, the Clay County Prosecutor's Office faced a big call. Raymond's lawyer wanted him tried in juvenile court, but prosecutors pushed for adult court, where he'd face the death penalty. They compromised, trying him as an adult but ordering a psychiatric evaluation at Bryce Hospital in Tuscaloosa. Months later, he was deemed sane to stand trial. When the trial kicked off, the courthouse was packed with curious onlookers. Raymond showed a disturbing lack of emotion, sitting stone-faced, sometimes covering his face with his hands. With overwhelming evidence, witness testimony, fingerprints, and his own confession, he was quickly convicted. The jury, though, showed mercy, sparing him the electric chair. He got 3 life sentences. Even at sentencing, Raymond showed no emotion. No tears, no pleas for forgiveness, no hint of remorse for the lives he took. At 14, he entered Alabama's prison system as one of its youngest inmates convicted of multiple murders. In prison, Raymond seemed to make the best of it. He studied to become an auto mechanic, joined rehab programs, and earned a reputation as a model prisoner. Psychologists noted his smarts, his ability to talk about his crimes, and what looked like growing insight into the harm he'd caused. He spoke about rehab, showed what seemed like real remorse, and displayed the kind of changes the system aims for. In 1973, after 13 years, Raymond was paroled at 27. He seemed transformed. The decision wasn't taken lightly. Officials had watched him for over a decade, noting his program participation, job skills, and apparent empathy. After release, Raymond went back to Ashland, staying with his mom before moving to Montgomery, where he worked at an auto shop and got his own place. For years, he seemed to reintegrate perfectly. But in the late 1970s, a serious alcohol addiction took hold, changing his behavior. While drunk, he started sexually harassing women and girls in Montgomery, his predatory actions escalating. In 1980, it hit a terrifying peak when he raped his apartment manager while intoxicated, trying to strangle her until she passed out. Thinking he'd killed her, he fled. When she came to and called police, Raymond was caught fast. As a parole violator, he was sent back to prison. The model prisoner who'd convinced experts of his reform had shown his true colors. Raymond was back inside from 1980 to 1986. During this stretch, he again joined programs, kept up good behavior, and showed the same intelligence and apparent insight as before. But the 1980 assault changed how officials saw him. It revealed a clear pattern of violence against women, suggesting his dangerousness never went away. Still, his behavior was so good that in June 1986, he got parole again, a decision even more controversial than 1973. Given his proven violent streak, after release, Raymond returned to Montgomery, got a job at another auto shop, and for a few months seemed to reintegrate well, steering clear of alcohol. In late 1986, he met 31-year-old Linda Lamonte, a single mom with a 10-year-old daughter, Sheila Smoke, and a 6-year-old son, Aaron. Linda had no clue about his past. Parole records weren't public. Their relationship moved fast. Raymond came off as someone who'd faced hardship and wanted stability. His charm and apparent care for Linda and her kids convinced her he could complete their family. In early summer 1987, Raymond moved into Linda's apartment. Neighbors saw nothing off, and friends thought he was a stand-up guy, a positive influence. For months, things looked great. Raymond seemed to embrace the stepfather role, but beneath the surface, the same darkness from his teenage years lurked. On August 9, 1987, that darkness broke free. Raymond attacked Linda first, stabbing her multiple times in a degrading way. The wounds to her vagina, rectum, and chest showed not just intent to kill but a desire to humiliate. He slashed her throat with a 23 cm cut and carved a 69 cm incision from her lower neck to her pubis. The horror didn't stop there. He went to Sheila's bedroom, where he committed unspeakable acts, raping the 10-year-old before stabbing her in the chest, throat, and abdomen, leaving the knife in her body. 6-year-old Aaron, in the house during the attacks, was somehow spared. After the murders, Raymond's disturbed mind showed itself. He took a Polaroid of Linda's body and stuck it on the TV screen, scattered playing cards around the bodies, and left a paper with the victims' names and me written on it. When Linda didn't show up for work and Sheila missed school, Linda's parents checked the apartment. The scene they found would haunt them forever. Their daughter and granddaughter brutally killed, and little Aaron traumatized but alive. Police saw this was no ordinary domestic violence case. The extreme brutality, wound patterns, and bizarre staging pointed to someone deeply disturbed. Linda's ex-husband, David, told police Raymond had been at the house during a visitation drop-off, and with crime scene evidence, Raymond became the prime suspect. An arrest warrant went out, but Raymond had vanished. The manhunt that followed was one of Montgomery County's biggest, with law enforcement across Alabama joining in to find a killer whose history made him a major threat. They learned he'd been in a traffic accident in Walsboro, Elmore County, before the bodies were found. He'd given police his license, described the crash, declined medical help, grabbed groceries and a fishing rod, and headed toward a lake. This narrowed the search, but his knowledge of the area made him hard to catch. On August 12th, a massive search operation focused on the wooded east side of Jordan Lake, 25 kilometers north of Montgomery. Authorities evacuated about 140 vacationers to keep them safe and prevent Raymond from taking hostages. That afternoon, the manhunt ended almost casually. Raymond strolled out of the woods to a service station, bought cigarettes and a soda, acting like nothing was wrong. The clerk and others noticed his disheveled look after days in the wild and called police, who arrested him without a fight. He showed the same eerie calm as in 1960. Blood on his clothes and in his car matched Linda's, tying him to the murders. At trial, Raymond's defense was almost insulting. He pleaded not guilty, claiming amnesia about the night of August 9th. A psychiatric evaluation found an organic personality disorder but deemed him sane to stand trial. The evidence, physical, witness testimony, and his own actions was overwhelming. On May 13, 1988, he was sentenced to death for Linda and Sheila's murders. He was sent to Holman Correctional Facility's death row to await execution. The death sentence sparked a long appeals process. In 1990, his team argued the trial was tainted by a jury pool exposed to 53 news articles about his crimes and past, claiming it robbed him of a fair trial. The appellate court agreed, overturning the death sentence. But the Montgomery County Prosecutor's Office fought back, appealing to the Alabama Supreme Court, which reinstated the death penalty. The appellate court reaffirmed its ruling, leading to a new trial. But Raymond was convicted and sentenced to death again. In 1995, his team claimed jury selection bias, alleging social and racial prejudice. But the circuit court found no evidence. The Alabama Supreme Court upheld this. Later appeals, including claims of ineffective counsel and arguments against the death penalty as cruel, were all rejected. Raymond's fate was sealed. He died on death row in 2008, 20 years after his sentence. Raymond never showed real remorse or offered insights to help prevent similar crimes. He remained the same detached person who confessed to triple murder at 14. His death brought some closure to the families, but it couldn't bring back Evina Ogle, Ethel Ogle, Berta Mae Martin, Linda Lamonte, or Sheila Smoke. His case exposed flaws in predicting recidivism among violent offenders, especially juveniles. His ability to fake rehabilitation while staying dangerous challenged ideas about criminal psychology. The failures to recognize his danger after 1973 led to the 1980 assault, and the failure to learn from that led to the 1986 release and the murders of Linda and Sheila. How does a normal-seeming 14-year-old commit such brutal murders? How did Raymond fool so many into thinking he was reformed? Should someone who kills multiple times as a teen ever be released? His story suggests some people may be wired differently in ways rehab can't fix. His violence stayed consistent despite years of supposed treatment. We must remember the 5 women he killed. Evina Ogle, 82 and disabled, murdered in her bed. Ethel Ogle, 63, killed by her great-nephew. Berta Mae Martin, 31, stabbed 123 times for catching him stealing. Linda Lamonte, 31, building a stable life. And 10-year-old Sheila Smoke, who died in terror. Aaron, 6, survived but was scarred forever. The woman he assaulted in 1980 carried lasting physical and emotional wounds. These victims show the cost of Raymond's violence and the system's failure to stop a predator who should never have been freed. Raymond's case is a chilling reminder that evil can hide without warning signs, that rehabilitation doesn't always work, and that misjudging public safety costs innocent lives. His story shows how the justice system can fail to protect society from those beyond reform. His ability to fake change while staying violent raises questions we still face today. If this case has you thinking about the challenges of criminal justice and assessing dangerousness, share your thoughts in the comments. How do we balance redemption with protecting people? Subscribe for more true crime stories that tackle tough questions about human nature, rehabilitation limits, and the systems meant to keep us safe. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the most dangerous person isn't a stranger in the dark, but someone who's already shown what they're capable of.